Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer on the expansive world of contraception. Today, we're going to break down the data so you can make highly informed choices about your reproductive health. Whether you're navigating these options for the very first time or you're just looking to update your current method, understanding exactly how these systems work and how well they work is absolutely crucial to taking control of your future.
All right, let's take a quick look at our agenda. 1. The fight for choice. 2. Busting common contraception myths. 3. Choosing your contraceptive method. 4. Preventing pregnancy and STIs. 5. Hormonal pregnancy prevention. And finally, 6. Other methods and emergency backup.
So let's jump right into Section 1, the fight for choice.
Picture this. Before the 1930s, federal law, specifically the Comstock Act, literally made it illegal to even share information about contraception. Wild, right? But then, in 1916, a nurse and mother of 3 named Margaret Sanger visited a clinic in the Netherlands. She brought that spark back to the US and opened the very first birth control clinic. Her relentless work actually helped fund the research that eventually gave us the first hormonal pill in the late 1950s.
Moving right along to Section 2, Busting Common Contraception Myths.
Okay, honestly, it's kind of hard to believe, but the whole cola douching idea is a myth that's somehow still floating around. Here is the harsh biological reality. Sure, cola might harm a few sperm, but it drastically wrecks your internal environment and completely fails at preventing pregnancy. Actually, medical professionals explicitly warn against douching altogether. Why? Because it can literally push any remaining sperm through the cervix even faster and drive bacteria higher up into your reproductive system. That just skyrockets your risk for infections. No thank you.
Here's another really dangerous one, using plastic wrap. Guys, household items are not medical devices. Plastic wrap is great for keeping your leftovers fresh in the fridge, but during friction, it is absolutely going to slip off, leak, or just straight up break. It gives you zero reliable protection from pregnancy or STIs.
And then there's toothpaste. Let's just nip this in the bud right now. Toothpaste offers absolutely zero protection against pregnancy or STIs. None. It doesn't kill infectious microbes, and if you try to use it as a lubricant, it is incredibly irritating. Bottom line, let's leave the household items in the bathroom cabinet and stick to scientifically proven methods.
All right, Section 3, Choosing Your Contraceptive Method. Choosing a method isn't just about the raw science, it's deeply personal. After all, the best method is the one you're actually going to use correctly. So ask yourself this: how seriously would an accidental pregnancy disrupt my life? If it would completely derail your life trajectory, you really need to look at the absolute highest tier effectiveness rates. You don't want a method that leaves a massive margin for human error.
And here's an equally crucial question, especially if you're navigating new partnerships. Are you 100% confident you're in an exclusive relationship that is totally free of STIs? Because the reality is, if you're not in a long-term, mutually monogamous, STI-free relationship, you definitely need a method that tackles both pregnancy and disease prevention.
Let's put some real numbers to this because the differences are mind-blowing. If you're just relying on chance, that's a massive 85% failure rate. Compare that to a hormonal implant, which drops the failure rate to a microscopic 0.05%. But look at that middle ground. Male condoms sit at a 19.5% failure rate in typical use. That gap between perfect theoretical medical use and how people actually use things in the real world is a huge factor you need to weigh.
Let's dive deeper into that in Section 4, Preventing Pregnancy and STIs.
Looking at the external male condom, we have an extremely effective barrier method, when it's applied properly of course. It physically blocks semen from entering the vagina and prevents skin from contacting mucous membranes. And that is exactly how STIs are transmitted, making this a fantastic 2-for-1 shield. So, the absolute key here is strictly following these 5 golden rules. Remember that 19.5% failure rate we just talked about? Well, that is almost entirely due to user error, not product defects. Condoms rarely just fail on their own. They fail because they get left in a hot car, they're reused, put on incorrectly, or used without proper lubrication, so they tear. If you master these 5 simple steps, you drastically improve their effectiveness.
If you're looking for a different barrier option, the female condom is brilliant for user control and spontaneity. You can actually insert it up to 8 hours before intercourse. It's basically a polyurethane tube with a flexible ring in each end, creating a protective lining right inside the vagina. Now, pro tip, never use it at the exact same time as a male condom. But on its own, it's a fantastic alternative that puts you firmly in control ahead of time.
Let's pivot to Section 5, hormonal pregnancy prevention.
The lifestyle difference between these next two options is literally night and day. You're basically choosing between remembering to take a pill every single day or just getting a tiny implant tucked under your skin that lasts for 3 solid years. The pill alters your body's normal hormone cycle to stop ovulation and thicken cervical mucus. The implant does the exact same thing, but it just slowly, steadily releases a progestin hormone from a tiny polymer tube in your upper arm.
Now, while oral contraceptives are super effective and can really help regulate your cycle, they demand strict daily adherence. If you take that pill at the exact same time every single day, the failure rate is an incredibly low 0.3%. But life happens, right? The second you start forgetting doses, that typical use failure rate jumps up to 7%. So it's really a trade-off. You get the awesome benefits of cycle regulation, but you have to carry the burden of remembering it every day.
If you hate remembering a daily pill, the Depo-Provera injection is an amazing alternative. It gives you 90 days of highly effective, long-acting, reversible contraception with just one single shot. Of course, that assumes you actually go back every 3 months right on schedule. But if you do, it boasts a tiny 0.2% failure rate. Plus, it takes effect almost immediately after the first shot, which totally wipes out that daily pill-taking anxiety.
A few other stellar hormonal choices include the weekly skin patch and the monthly vaginal ring, which both follow a simple 3 weeks on, 1 week off schedule. Oh, and we definitely need to talk about emergency contraception pills, which work within a 5-day window after unprotected sex. I want to be super clear here. This is not an abortion pill. It uses hormones to interrupt your normal patterns to prevent conception from ever happening in the first place. It's about 75% effective when your primary method fails or just wasn't used.
And finally, Section 6. Other methods and emergency backup.
Let's talk about the withdrawal method. It comes with a pretty steep estimated 22% failure rate. Why? Because it relies on way too many unpredictable variables and offers absolutely zero defense against STIs. People have practiced it for centuries, sure, but relying on perfectly timed human reaction during a highly sensational moment? Honestly, it's incredibly risky if you are truly serious about preventing pregnancy.
Then we have older barrier methods like diaphragms, which honestly fall really short unless you pair them diligently with spermicides. These were introduced way back in the early 1900s. They require a prescription, a professional fitting, and you have to insert them up to 2 hours before intercourse, then leave them in for at least 6 hours afterward. And the kicker? They only really work to impede conception when that spermicidal cream is actively in there to destroy the sperm. So we've explored the history, we've busted some crazy myths, and we've laid out your entire modern menu. With all these highly effective options available today, what step will you take next to protect your health and your future? The power is totally in your hands, now that you're armed with the facts. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. I really encourage you to review these options, chat with a healthcare professional, and find the choice that perfectly aligns with your life. Until next time, take care.